Hello, everyone out there. I just wanted to take a quick break whilst I am, working. I just remembered that, you know what, at the beginning of the month, we probably should have done this. But I wanted to do a quick video because June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, where we highlight the mental health or mental wellness, of men, and also hopefully normalize that men do have mental health problems that they face every now and then, and also that men are less likely to seek mental health treatment in whatever capacity, whether it's medically or even counseling. They're less likely to do so because of the stigma. So I wanted to do a quick video just to talk about some of the stresses that could lead men to struggle or suffer from mental health, or maybe to have it more aware, raise the awareness of mental health among men. So most of the time, men are ignored, they are looked over, they are dismissed when it comes to their mental health or even medical problems. It's almost like sometimes we just think that they have to be strong. They are strong, so they are good. And boys who turn into men are raised in that sense. You are strong, stay strong. You have to continue to be the head of the household, but you have to be the strong one. But as we've seen throughout the years, they are human. Men are human, you are human. So you will struggle, you will suffer, you will be in pain, and that has to be acknowledged. So what I did, I wanted to put 10, stresses of the things that, men go through that, usually will trigger some mental health problem, right? And then, so I'll do part 1 and part 2. So today we're just going to talk about the stresses, and then part 2 video, I'll talk about some of the, symptoms for the mental health problems that men can or might struggle with. So as I was putting this together, I spoke to the men in my life that I know, brothers and, clients alike. And I'll tell you, there was one client that I've worked with for years. And for the sake of this video, I'll call him Mr. John. Mr. John said to me, and I asked, I said, tell me some of the stresses because I want to do this video, right? And he says, how many stresses are you trying to get? I said, I was thinking maybe just come up with a quick 10, of the stressors. And he says, well, let me tell you, women. And he went women 10 times. He's like, women. So that's a bonus in addition to the list that I put. Women are the number one stressors as far as Mr. John is concerned. And he was dying laughing. He's like, women dying laughing. And I told him, I said, I'm going to put you on video. I'm going to tell, the world that this is what you said. So for whatever it's worth, if you are men listening to this video, give me like a thumbs up, or just write the word women so that we know that you agree with Mr. John or disagree with Mr. John. Ladies, this is not your response. I don't want to hear from the ladies, because then the ladies will be like, no, how are we the problem? Which is exactly how I reacted too. I was like, wait a minute, why are we the cause of, mental health? Well, I guess we could say the same thing, right? Men. All right, let me get into seriousness about really, some of the stresses. So the first one that I wrote that could lead, men to really struggle, and, stress is one, is mental health, right? It's part of mental health. Work related stress was the number one, thing that I put there, because you know what? The pressure of doing long hours, demanding bosses, and having, to work overtime, the work week is supposed to be 40 hours. Many men are working 40, 50, 60 hours, and that's a cause of stress. And, as I'm saying this, I want the ladies to understand that I'm just talking about the things that, may contribute to men's stresses. And I'm not underestimating our role in what we do, because we also work 40 hours. But as we are talking about this, I want it to be an awareness that we are talking about, men in particular, at this time, because then they are the ones that struggle with acknowledging and also, being seen or seen. Financial worries, many men worry about, money. They worry about taking care of themselves. They worry about taking care of the responsibilities that they have. They worry about not being paid enough, not being able to contribute enough. And many have children that they're responsible for, grandchildren that they're responsible for, but the money is not enough. And they always constantly worry about that. Relationship issues, as we mentioned, men, women, whatever partner that you have, men worry about that. Their relationship issues that affect, whether you are in a relationship, in a complicated, relationship, or in a good relationship. There are stresses that come with that are really stressful. The problem is, in relationships, men suffer in silence. They don't say anything, neither would they be the ones that would come out and seek, treatment. In treatment, I mean counseling, where we can talk about what's going on. We can talk about your role, and we also can talk about some of the options that you can have. And, men mostly in relationships will have a difficult time reaching out and talking about themselves, because then, with some, it's seen as a sign of weakness, but it's not. It's literally a sign of strength when you seek, to speak to someone. Health concerns, they worry about, health. They have chronic issues. And when I ask men to say, do you do an annual checkup, physical checkup, there are more women that will do an annual physical checkup than men do. And men, most likely, with the doctors, when I speak to doctors, they say, well, the men come in when the pain is really excruciating. That's when you see a man walking in and saying, I'm in pain. Then you check the chest and you check, everything else. But otherwise, they just don't come in to say, well, check if I'm okay. Whereas with women, we do that. We want to, the doctors to check if we're okay. So it's more prevalent for women to go in to the doctors and get checked. But men have major, health concerns that, could lead to mental health if they're not checked and they're not in good health. Parenting challenges, that's also a big stressor, because of course it's difficult for the mothers to raise these children on their own. So with the men being expected to be a part of raising today's children, that becomes a big stressor for the men, in addition to everything else that they're doing, which is the same thing that the women are going through. They're also having to balance between raising the children, parenting the children, as well as work and taking care of other responsibilities. But that's a big stressor also that men struggle with, and especially those that have the children that they are outside the home and they cannot be there every day and be a part of these children's growing up. It's really difficult for the co-parenting to go back and forth, and it's usually sometimes one of those biggest stressors for men. The other thing that I wrote was, just social expectations, what society continues to expect for men to be men. And when now the norm has changed in family dynamics, relationships, a lot of men struggle with those changes. They don't know, when to conform, or how to even fit in and still become the men. Especially in a society where we have, some women making more money than the men and, taking that role of being lead or the head of the households. Some men still struggle with that. And some men have had to be the parenting, role where they stay at home and they are stay-at-home dads whilst the mothers are working. And it's still a struggle for some men to even get to say yes to that kind of arrangement, if that's the arrangement that needs to be in the house. Loneliness and isolation, this is big because, lack of social support and, difficulty connecting with others is a big part of men's mental health, especially when they're, single, divorced, or, the spouses have passed on. Either way, that loneliness and isolation can be really challenging and very difficult part of being a man and dealing with that, part of their lives. So it causes a lot of stress and, also a challenge when they can reach out and literally express what they're feeling, and also to let others know of, that void in their life. Performance anxiety. Many men, whether it's in the bedroom or, in a workplace or outside, men want to be men. They want to be successful. They want to be able to perform. And when that is not possible, because many a time it's beyond the control, it's medically induced or, other reasons, even stress itself, mental health problems itself can affect a man's performance. But that's big when it comes to mental health. And then the last thing that I had was uncertainty about the future. Back in the days, men used to know that, I'm going to grow up and I'll have a job and I'll get married and I'll be, raising my family and working with my family. And today, it's really difficult and sometimes impossible to even plan for the future, given today's world and everything that is going, on around us. So what does this, all mean? What it means is it is very normal, and it is, also possible for men to literally struggle from the many mental health problems that women, also struggle with as a human. It is also normal for men to go to somebody and say, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like things are working out okay. And it is okay for men to cry and let it out, the tears out and say, I've had it. I can't take this anymore. It is okay for men to cry. So as we remember the man and also be aware of men's mental health, I want to ask something from the ladies around us. As ladies, we want to be taken care of, and we want somebody to do the little, stuff that I care about you and I want you to be okay. Will you take some time for the men in your life, the brothers in your life, pastors or any men that you know of, and just take some time to ask them if they're okay. Give them time to listen to them as they speak their hearts out, and literally be non-judgmental and just have an open heart and an open mind that I really truly care, and I want to listen to you, and I want to make sure that you're okay, because men do require care as well. They want sensitivity as well. So let's extend ourselves and just be there to support them and to also give them that support that they require as we encourage them to seek therapy, to seek medical attention so that they can be taken care of. So look out for part 2. I have a part 2, which I'll be talking about the different diagnoses that men can be aware of, and also those that are not men to be aware of and look out for in the men that are in your life or that are around you. Until then, this is DrStem. And as I always say, be encouraged.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the DrStem Show and Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, leave a review, hit that like button. You know what to do. Any and all efforts help us empower, uplift, and educate others, and we greatly appreciate that effort. For more information about your host and for more resources, you can visit her website, DrStemmy.com. That's DrStemie.com. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we hope you'll join us again on the next episode of the DrStem Show and Podcast, your go-to source for empowerment, inspiration, encouragement, and education. We'll catch you next time.